Hi, my name is Luz Granados,
And I'm Jen from Monterey.
and we are both sophomores at.
Jesper Norvik High School. The issue that we're discussing today are human rights. We decided to take a stand on this because we have noticed all the devastating accidents that has been going on around the world.
In December 10th, 1948, the UN created the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which it states that any human, either girl or boy, male or woman, or any race, culture, religion, or sex, have the same rights and they should be treated fairly.
Like, just an opinion.
Like, it's something everyone has, everyone should. It's equality. Yeah.
Do you know what the Universal Declaration of Human Rights are?
Treat people the way you want to be treated. I agree with that.
Do you have rights if you are not legally living in this country?
Yeah, because we're all human.
Do you think that you have ever been violated? Your rights have been violated.
Not that I know of. Maybe sometimes, like in school, like we're just students and we don't really have many rights because we're under the age of 18.
So human rights are rights that are basically things that we deserve. They're rights that we should have as individuals, as citizens of the United States, ones that are going to protect us, ones that are going to keep us safe. Do I feel like I have human rights? Is that one of the questions? Sorry.
Have your rights have ever been violated?
Yeah, I would say so. My rights have been violated, specifically as a woman of color. So there's this word called intersectionality. So not only am I victim to, I guess, discrimination or things as being a woman, I'm also victim to things being a black woman. So I would say my rights have been taken away in both of those cases. Not only just from the people in my family, my friends, specifically when I was in college, things that were necessarily done to me should have been done just based off of those two things alone, race and gender.
What do you think the Universal Declaration of Rights are?
To me, if I can make an inference, it just sounds like rights that everyone should follow or abide by, specifically ones that no matter if you're a woman, if you're a man, if you are black, if you're white, if you're Latino, if you're Hispanic, they all apply equally to everyone, not depending on anything, but universally, everyone should be following them.
And then last one, do you think you have rights if you were illegal living in this country?
Do I think I have rights if I'm not illegal?
If you're not legal.
If you're illegal.
If I am illegal. No, I would say, honestly, no. If that were the case, a lot of the things that are happening now wouldn't be happening if everyone were given the same rights, if everyone given equal rights. So no, I don't think everyone in this country are given the same rights. So especially immigrants that are coming here, they're not given the same rights at all.
What are human rights?
What are human rights? That's a good question. I think that human rights are things that should be afforded to every person. So good health care, good education, housing, food. It's just things that come under not only the basic necessities, but things that also enhance people's lives. It's not just about the basics, it's about making sure that people can thrive.
What is the Universal Declaration of Human Rights? What
is the Universal Declaration? Oh gosh, I don't know. That every person has the right to live and thrive.
Do you have rights even if you're not illegal living in this country.
Absolutely. Yes.
Do you think you have ever been violated, like your rights have ever been violated?
I will say that as a woman, there have been instances where I believe my rights have been violated, either through an employer or mostly through employers. They're not super friendly with pregnancy and things like that. But, you know, how does the human race survive without women? So, so yeah.
Human rights are the rights that every human, every person has just because they are a person on this planet.
Yeah, I think that's pretty succinct. You know, just like treating everyone with like a baseline level of respect, level of rights. Just because like you're human, I'm a human, right?
What is the Universal Declaration of Human Rights?
Man, I should know more about this than I do, but I don't. What I do know is, I don't know much about it. So it's going to be more of what probably Western culture. I assume some democracies in Europe and maybe North America came up with, of dictating of like what the human rights are, what every person who's alive, what they should be able to experience, and what you can't take away from somebody. Yeah, like everyone has the right to space, everyone has the right to breathe, everyone has the right to eat, everyone has the right to some kind of shelter. Basic things that every person should have.
So I'm gonna guess, since I don't know a lot about it either, and lying on camera is really bad. I'm gonna guess there's also a legal component too. So if you need to like ever prosecute like a government or someone else for like taking away their human rights, right? You need like very specific rules and point to like, hey, you violated this, that, and the other, and this is why like, you know, you're getting this consequence, or we're bringing you to court for this.
Do you have rights if you are not legally living in this country?
The United States.
Are you asking that as like a point of view question, or are you asking like what rights specifically do you have? Because I think those are
Point
two
of
different
view.
questions.
Like a point of view.
So if somebody's not a legal citizen of the United States, should they have rights? Okay. Yes, they should have rights based on, what was it, the International Declaration? Universal Declaration. Yeah, they should have rights in the ways of, being able to have their basic needs met. Everyone should have their basic needs met of food, water, shelter,
Healthcare. Like I like health. If you're like in peril,
Right.
I'll answer that. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Yeah,
but like
you
if
should
you were
be
in
able to
if you
go
were
to
like
the
in a-
hospital.
Yeah, if you're
I'm
like
not
gonna
going to say
die.
healthcare.
Like if you're gonna
that's-
die, like you should be taken. You know,
Right,
You shouldn't
you
be
should be
left on
able-
the side of the street.
Yeah, you should not be dying on the side of the road. So yeah, people should have rights no matter where we are.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I don't think you want the nitty gritty answer on like what rights you do and do not have as citizens and a non-citizen, but you know, I don't think you should just be able to treat someone however you want just because they weren't born here or something. That doesn't really make sense. So yeah, basic food, water, stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay. Do you think have your rights have ever been violated?
Probably.
I mean, I don't want to speak for you, Mr. Ballard. I've had a very privileged upbringing,
So I'm
it's-
having a hard time thinking of anything
No,
really negative.
Yeah.
I remember one time when I was 16, I think I stopped at a stop sign, but I still got a ticket for not stopping at a stop sign. That's pretty much the only thing I can think of, which is real silly. That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, I can't think of a good example off the top of my head.
Yeah, as
And it would be very minor in the grand scheme of things.
hugely minor.
Yeah, like that, like the administration of my high school punished one of my friends more than I thought they should have, but that's not a human rights violation. That's like a,
Yeah, I made an inappropriate comment in a class one time and was told I was going to have detention, but I didn't have detention and still served the detention anyway.
yeah, man,
So-
that's a real human rights violation.
Yeah,
There, Mr.
huge,
Ballard.
huge.
It really
huge
did the
rights.
point of this assignment.
Okay. One more question. Why do you think we don't use these? more often, if you want to.
Oh,
I would
yeah.
love to thumb through them.
Without knowing too much about it and just going. Anyway, focusing. Why we don't use the Universal Declaration of Human Rights? Why we don't use it to its full extent, at least, is the other effect. When someone who doesn't look like me and act like me, that's not similar to me. Real easy to look at somebody as different. Very easy to look at somebody. One thing I've heard a lot of people say in the world is like, hold on. What we should be doing is looking at the similarities and do not look at the differences. So I think that's a really good way to go through life, but we don't. We look at life as black and white, and that can also be a race thing too, because it's really easy not to notice or to disregard people who don't look like me and who aren't similar to me. And that's also like why we have could be like River Oaks, could be Third Ward, very different, very separate, not very far away. Things like that.
Yeah, I mean, without more time to think, I'd agree. I think I'm just thumbing through these really quickly. The ones that y'all highlighted are very important, and some that that we just don't follow at all. I think it's easy to be like, so for example, let's take the all are equal without any discrimination, equal protection under the law, which is something that's in the Constitution as well. Like if you look at places like Arizona, where essentially they can ask for your papers, like, are you an immigrant? You know what I mean? Like the counter argument is, oh well, it's not discrimination because blah blah blah. But it's really legal justification for, in my opinion, I'm not gonna speak for everyone, legal justification of discrimination. So there are ways to legally hide some of these to, essentially discriminate against others. Yeah, and it's a lot, and it would take a lot. So for example, let's go to Article 26. Everyone has the right to education. Education shall be free, at least, blah, 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 blah. Different people will argue why that should or should not be the case. I think a lot of the time that those arguments end up being you don't really look the same as me, so I don't think that you should get this. Why don't you work harder so that you can do this for your kids too? But the underlying argument there is, I have something, you don't have something, so because I have it, clearly I'm better than you. And that transcends, that's a whole American thing. But yeah, it's the best thing I can think of on my feet, sorry.
Do you think the government should regulate these?
What government?
Well, any government.
Regulate what exactly? The universal rights? What did you say?
They should enforce, they should be enforceable.
Oh man, I need to know more specifics of what they are and who's enforcing them.
So I'll just speak to the ones that I thumbed through. They seem like ones that are pretty common sense, and a lot of them are already in the Declaration of, in the Constitution. My apologies. And so they should be upheld anyway. So at least the ones that I looked through, they look, they're pretty easy to enforce, or at least, lawyers can enforce them. So, yeah.